In the summer of 1995, the Walt Disney Company released a movie called Operation Dumbo Drop.
From Walt Disney Pictures, he is going to get you a new elephant.
I am not getting them an elephant. Captain Doyle?
The title is a play on the Disney character Dumbo, but the actual events of this movie were real-life events that happened in the summer of 1968. This was during the Vietnam War, and the U.S. Special Forces Green Berets wanted to repay the village of Montagnard for helping them out during the war, and so they wanted to repay them by giving them an elephant.
The village provides important support for operations in the region. If we don't get them an elephant by Friday afternoon, we lose the village.
The elephant in the film is named Bo Tat, but it was played by a real-life elephant named Tai. Tai was an Asian elephant named Tai because she was born in Thailand. You may have seen her in the Bill Murray film Larger Than Life.
Corcoran has just inherited a big problem.
I've got an apartment with a no pets clause.
And there's only one way to solve it.
Have your elephant at the San Diego airport Tuesday the 24th, 8 p.m.
She also appeared in Big Top Pee-wee.
I leave you alone for a second and look at you.
Pretty good though, huh, Gina? I taught Daisy how to sit.
And George of the Jungle 1 and 2.
That's your dog?
But this may be her biggest starring role.
Anyone didn't know how to work an elephant?
I was in love with a fat woman once, but she never listened to me.
Now, the problem with filming with an elephant is that they weigh 4 tons, and so everything that they stand on has to be reinforced. They put them in a truck, they got to reinforce the truck. They stand on the dirt, they got to make sure that they're not going to sink into the ground. Tai was trained by Gary Johnson, who's a Hollywood animal trainer, and even though she was from Thailand, she lived out in California, so they had to fly her out to Thailand to shoot the movie.
There are 3 great actresses of our time. There's Meryl Streep, there's Jessica Lange, and there's Tai. She just captures what being an elephant is about.
The plan was to film the entire movie in Thailand, but then a real-life drug war broke out in the area they were filming, and they had to then go to Florida to finish the film, and Tai had to be flown to Florida.
They wanted it, they floated it. But when things got really ugly, they decided to drop it.
Now for this, they had to make a full-size animatronic elephant. Today, this would be done with a computer, and it would mean nothing, and you'd feel nothing watching it. But I watched this in the theater, and I thought, how the heck did they do that? For this, they had creature builder Rick Lazzarini build giant replica animatronic elephants.
We couldn't just make a static elephant dummy because that would be limp and lifeless. We will have flapping ears, we will have blinking eyes.
The control panel for the animatronic elephant had to be put in a spot where it wasn't going to be visible on camera, so they hid it inside of the elephant's butt. Rick said that the locals were always puzzled to see him reach up and stick his hand inside the elephant's butt to get the elephant to do things. Now, the real story does include the elephant being dropped from a plane with a parachute. But of course, they weren't going to do this with a real elephant for the movie. So the replica animatronic was stuffed into a crate and a parachute was put on top, and they dropped it 18 times to make sure they got the correct shots. A team of puppeteers used radio controls to animate the elephant as it dropped, so its eyes would blink, its trunk would move, and it would shift from side to side. A professional skydiver stood in for Ray Liotta's character. And while all 18 jumps didn't go off perfectly, some ended with the elephant crashing into a tree or sinking into the mud, they were able to get the shot that they needed for the movie. The close-up shots of the elephant and Ray Liotta were shot on a soundstage at Disney MGM Studios in Orlando, Florida. To get the effect of the elephant parachuting on a soundstage, they used blue screen, they used wind effects with giant fans, and they had to use a special sophisticated rig that attached to a crane.
She actually kind of enjoyed it because it had a little rocking movement, and she would actually rock it. We were probably 30 feet up into the air.
And rather quickly, they realized this was going to be a problem, so they had to tether the thing down on either side so she couldn't move it. Ray Liotta said it was a pleasure to work with the elephant. He said that Of all the shots they had to do, that elephant never missed her mark. The only problems they ever had were with the other actors. The end result is a wonderful shot in a really, really fun and rather underrated movie. Now, I don't know where the animatronic elephants are today, but I do know that shortly after the movie wrapped production, they were put on the backlot tour at Disney MGM Studios.
This large part of the C-123 airplane that was used in Operation Dumbo Drop that starred Ray Liotta and Danny Glover.
However, I found videos from 1 year later where the elephant was already missing. Operation Dumbo Drop was not a critical or financial success. It made $24 million at the box office, but it cost $24 million to make. And while that sounds like it broke even, that's not how Hollywood works. It costs a lot of money to do publicity for the film. They have to make all of the prints back then to send to theaters, all the promotional materials. So apparently that was a money loser. It eventually made its way to VHS and then DVD, and today you can watch it on Disney+. Also on Disney Plus, there's an episode of The Simpsons where Homer and Grandpa are smuggling medications from Canada down to the US, and they meet a gang that is also smuggling, and they are called Los Souvenir Jaquitos.
Accept this Operation Dumbo Drop souvenir jacket.
The movie was also referenced in a rather crude cutaway gag in an episode of Family Guy.
They're watching Operation Dumbo Screw with Don Knotts.
Professor, you've got to impregnate this elephant or the entire species will become extinct.
Well, this is a job that's not worth the money.
Hey, by the way, I hope you take a moment to check out my Patreon club. You can get yourself a membership card, and for just $3 a month, I will send you a postcard in the mail every month. Or if you want to go up a little higher, for $9, I'll send you an envelope full of retro goodness. Now, I don't want to spoil everything, but let me show you a couple of the items you could have gotten this month. A vintage coaster from Old Mother Hubbard's restaurant in Pennsylvania. A Betty Boop $1 million bill. A bookmark with one of these little tassel things. A copy of the Pointless Nostalgia newsletter. Even more goodies. You know you need this. Go ahead, check it out, sign up. You can be like my big brother Rob, Archer, Al, Mike and Jess, Jamie and Tom, Matthew Chapin, and you. Now, there's a section of New York City that's called Dumbo, and that stands for Down Under the Manhattan Bridge Overpass. And they have an event every year since 2018 that is inspired by this movie.
Well, they call it Dumbo for a reason, as elephant parachutes fell from the sky right in front of the Manhattan Bridge.
Alexandria Sika is the president of the Dumbo Improvement District. She and her team are getting the elephants ready and tied to parachutes before the big drop.
This is video from the event last year in Brooklyn. It's to benefit local schools. And everyone who attends, they get to take home one of those tiny elephants.
Well, if you enjoyed this story, please go ahead and subscribe. I'll see you next time.